The privileged abuser life and why Harry Meghan are objectively unlikable. Greeting and gracious welcome to the World of Royal Staffs channel. To be able to work as a royal is a privilege that billions of people would wish for. Everyone from those working salt mines in Bangladesh, to those working at a retail store in Paris. So many people would rather just wear formal clothing and do diplomatic and ceremonial work as a royal, and get paid for it through monthly allowance from the royal household. Imagine complaining that your outfit allowance is a couple $1,000s, or that you are provided royal apartments at prime real estate places like Kensington Palace, or St. James Palace. Imagine complaining when you have your own household staff to manage your schedules and professionals to manage your finances. With that monthly allowance and inheritance, you can even acquire higher education. You can become a lawyer, a doctor, a professor, or even learn and develop skills in the fine arts like music or painting. If royal work slows down, you can always invest in shares, stocks, or start a business, as long as you're not using the royal title for merchandising. That's how entitled Harry and Meghan are. They are spoiled brats. They don't have the humility to understand their privileged position, and that the best way to give back is to perform the duties they've been so privileged to have had. And their idea of a business? To merchandise their royal titles. They're not offering expertise or skills, they're offering a title granted to them by the late Elizabeth II Regina. Even if we ignore the unignorable socially dysfunctional behavior of Meghan and Harry, they are still spoiled entitled privileged brats who have nothing to provide to the world other than tabloid fodder. They're undoubtedly blessed with unimaginable privilege, yet they still crave the attention of being the #1 victims of our time. It's almost comical to watch them whine and complain about their supposed hardships, especially when they contradict themselves at every turn. Take TW, for example. She loves to regale her fans with stories of her humble beginnings, how she used to survive off the $4.99 salad bar at Sizzler, and how she had to climb through the trunk of her broken-down jalopy just to get out. Yet, her Emmy Award-winning father could hardly provide for her, according to her latest memoir. It's hard to believe any of her stories, especially when they don't add up. For instance, she claims that her driver's side door didn't work, yet she never considered using the passenger side or taking it to a mechanic. Instead, she'd rather play the victim and garner sympathy from her fans. It's a classic move from someone who's never really had to struggle in life. Then there are the more serious allegations, like fleeing for their lives fearing for their physical safety. They were living on a Crown estate, the most secure place in England, with protection officers and outriders who clear traffic for them. It's hard to believe that they were ever in any real danger, yet they continue to milk this story for all it's worth. Similarly, when Meghan claimed to be suicidal, it's hard to believe that her husband, who has his own therapist on speed dial, didn't immediately get her help. And if she was really as distraught as she claimed, how did her makeup never smudge, and why did every picture show her grinning throughout? It's almost as if she was playing a role, trying to convince the world of her victimhood. The Oprah interview was the pinnacle of their victimhood crusade. If they had stopped there, they might have salvaged some respectability. Instead, they continued to whine and complain, contradicting themselves at every turn. It's almost as if they're trying to prove to the world that they are the ultimate victims, even though their privilege speaks for itself. On the other hand, the Beckham family is a different story. The son, in particular, is something of a viral sensation, thanks to his immense privilege and marriage to a billionaire's daughter. Despite this, they're not obnoxious or entitled. In fact, they seem to have a healthy sense of humor about their situation, especially the Beckham man. They're not living off their parents' money either, which is commendable. It's also admirable how they're handling a significant family rift without public drama. I don't pay close attention to their every move, but from what I've seen in the DM, they're relatively young and still have a chance to mature. But once you hit your 40s, any personality disorders you have become a part of you, particularly if it's something as severe as narcissistic personality disorder. It's unfortunate that Ellie Hall, a devoted supporter of the Beckhams, lost her job when BuzzFeed News shut down. My well wishes go out to her in her future endeavors as she continues to provide tabloid fodder for the Markles. Meanwhile, my friend Boozy is already hitting the bottle early today. The question that comes to mind is, how did she afford her designer clothes before the Bank of Charles? It seems like she quickly got on the gravy train, and Harry knew she was overspending. Unless it's a major event, none of the other royal women spend that kind of money. Harry himself knew that Meghan was overspending, yet he did nothing to rein in her spending habits. She was spending a fortune on clothes, often for events that didn't warrant such extravagance. Other royal women, such as Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, are known for their expensive clothing choices, but even her outfits pale in comparison to Meghan's exorbitant wardrobe. While Meghan may have had access to some great American and Canadian upscale clothes through her time on the show's Suits, she often missed the mark when it came to high-end designers like Dior. In my humble opinion, she simply doesn't wear Dior well. To be fair, most of us would be thrilled to have access to even a fraction of the outfits submitted by British and European clothiers that Meghan was given. Princess Diana, for example, had many dresses delivered to her and carefully selected her outfits for each event. She never went overboard with her spending, and many of her clothes were even donated to charity or given away to staff and friends. But Meghan is a different story. In just 18 months, she spent almost $1 million on clothes, despite working only 72 days. It's hard to understand why neither she nor Harry stepped in to curb her spending. It's madness, plain and simple. And have you heard the story about the woman crying at Albert Hall? It's been told on various platforms such as Oprah, Megflix, and Sperry. The story changes each time, but supposedly she was feeling suicidal and sobbing on the floor repeatedly, yet her husband failed to provide her with any help. Later that night, they went to see Cirque du Soleil, and despite her claims of continuous weeping, she had a flawless makeup look and grinned throughout the show. I recall Sarah Ferguson's appearance on Oprah years ago. Oprah was eagerly anticipating hearing about life as a princess in a palace, but Sarah spoke about how the apartment was dark, she wasn't permitted to touch the curtains, and it was a lonely place. Oprah persisted, reminding Sarah that she was still in a palace. Certainly, there are drawbacks to being in the public eye. For example, having severe menstrual cramps or a terrible stomachache and still having to perform at a train station or attend school. Despite Oprah's attempts to portray herself as sophisticated and high-end, she is still essentially just a fancier version of Jerry Springer. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Also, feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts on Meghan's latest business venture. We love hearing from our viewers. Until next time, stay tuned for more updates and news on your royal staffs.